Hey guys, part 90. I'm back with the results. We're going to be talking about this is the conclusion of the series. Is Garbage Pail Kids moral? Is the community moral? Is Tops moral? You know, like the Garbage Pail Kids side of Tops, is it moral? And we have one last sin that we haven't talked about, and that is pride. And I'm not going to go in a lot of depth with pride. I think we pretty much know what pride is. But the main thing is I want to show you the results. So what I did, I actually came up with stats, and I'll explain how I arrived at that. And while I'm talking today, I'm opening up this package, and I'm going to show you something that came in just a few minutes ago that I already opened on YouTube. So this is what we'll look at while I'm blabbering, basically. And also we'll look at the chart here in a few minutes. So anyway, hope everyone's having a good day. I will not be making a video tomorrow. It'll start probably next week, early next week. And this will be the final 10 episodes, okay, of Quitting Garbage Pail Kids. And I can tell you a little bit about what's coming up in these final 10 episodes. If you've watched any of the episodes up until now, you're going to have to watch the final 10 because I'm actually putting work into planning each of them. So yeah. So before I open this, let me just tell you what I'm starting with here. So the last sin, I'm talking about the deadly sins, is pride, okay? So pride is, I just want to read off something today. Yeah, I just got back from vacation. I saw my wife and I went to Atlanta. That's where I'm from. But we spent almost a week in Atlanta. And we saw the Smashing Pumpkins. We saw Jane's Addiction. They had and the band Polly. They had a co-headliner show at State Farm Arena. That was really fun. But yeah, I'm a little hoarse and tired still. All right, pride is that one I wanted to read off of? Pride is considered the original and worst of the 7 deadly sins on almost every list, and pride is the most demonic. It is thought to be the source of other capital sins. Pride is the opposite. I'm reading right here. Pride is the opposite of humility. That's actually not what I wanted to read off of, but yeah, that pretty much sums it up, I guess. It didn't really tell us what pride is. I think I had it out, and I just shuffled my pages some fucking where. Oh, is it up here? Oh, here it is. Sorry. Pride, okay, this is what pride is. Pride is an excessive view of oneself without regard for others. Oh my God, this is horrible for me. I'm just realizing, no, not just realizing, this pretty much explains a lot of my issues being a Garbage Pail Kids collector. I definitely suffer from pride. I have just a pretty much evil level of pride, and in a few minutes I'll show you the stats that I pulled. Okay, but anyway, let me open this and we'll be thinking about pride during all this opening. Yeah, this was sent to me by another collector, a Garbage Pail Kid collector. Let me put you down while I get my little. Here we go. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Jesus. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this was sent to me by another collector. He traveled to Australia. How lucky was he to get to go to Australia? And while he was there, he found some candy, I guess in a gas station or something, and he asked if he wanted me to pick him up some. And I just thought that was the nicest thing in the world. And as you can see, he's just sent a big box. This was definitely had to be priority sent. It's pretty heavy. I can't wait to see. I have no idea what's in here. For a second, I thought this might be a bomb, maybe a trap, maybe a fart bomb might blast in my face. But But as you can see, no such thing. I told you guys I'm not going to say anybody's name on here. And I have nothing bad to say about this collector, actually. But when I was talking to him, oh my God. Anyway, when I was talking to him in the very beginning, because I hadn't talked to this guy probably in 6 or 7 years, I was basically trying to remind him that I believed that he was a friend of mine. I considered him a friend. And I'm not going to tell you who his name is again. But anyway, the thing is, he was kind of like, no, we were never friends. And, I'm not going to touch on that. But what I wanted to say was, I think, like, who are we? Like, who am I to you? Like, do you consider me a friend? Like, who are we? Like, in the Garbage Pail Kid community, all these fucking people, like, who are they to you? Are they your peers? I mean, obviously they're peers. Like, we can call each other, you're a peer of mine. Like, you're an equal of mine. We're all community members. Now, but I told him I thought of him as a friend, basically. And he was like, no. We were never friends. And then I tried to remind him of some shit. But then when I was writing it out, I was like, I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure that was, good enough to be a friend. So, which it is what it is. I'm not talking specifically about this situation. I'm just thinking, like, in general, like, who are we? Like, are we just buddies, like you and I? Like think about all your friends in the Garbage Pail Kid community. Wow. Hold on, I'm going to shut up just a minute. Let's take a look. These are from Australia. I've never seen these before. Here's the thing about Australia. Getting something from Australia is a pain in the ass because of their shipping costs. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to order anything from Australia. They rank up there with Italy. They rank up there with, what's another, like a band kind of like country. Yeah, anyway, their cost to, what the fuck? Gob liquor. Yeah, so it's a pain to get anything from Australia due to me, their postal service seems sketchy. Just to me, I don't know how their politics is involved with their postal service. I know, like in America, our government, it's a federal thing to our post office. So somehow, I think I don't know. I've always gotten the sense there's a little bit of corruption there, but as a collector, there's stuff that I want from Australia constantly. And I'm always looking for someone that lives in Australia or New Zealand. And I actually have a friend now. I kind of wish he would speak up. I know he watches these videos. But I actually have a friend now who lives in New Zealand. But you know what? He has never shown me these. So now I'm wondering if these are just, maybe just from Australia. Yeah, it says Australia here. So just because someone lives in New Zealand doesn't mean they're going to get the Australian stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's another thing I was curious about. Are these purely Australian? Yes. Just from me to you, what I like about this is it's a monster. And what I like about this separately, because this goes into the monster category, right? So people that collect monsters like this, but also people that collect skateboarding memorabilia. And people who used to skateboard would like this. Because people like skateboarding that don't like monsters and vice versa. And what I also like about this, it's candy. And then in another category, it's Australian. So you would call this a crossover collectible. It's not a super strong crossover collectible. It's a little mild. It's not screaming Halloween. It's not screaming skateboarding, but it's got some low-key crossover appeal. So I don't know if you guys collect other stuff besides fucking Garbage Pail Kids. But if you broaden your horizons, there's some other Garbage Pail Kids stuff in the world besides actual branded Garbage Pail Kids stuff. A lot of it's even cooler than Garbage Pail Kids, especially new Garbage Pail Kids that, let's be honest, have jumped the shark a little bit in the past couple of years, maybe decades. Yeah, Candyman spelled with a K. Candyman spelled with a K. That's actually a drug term. That's a slang. Well, in America, that's a slang drug term. Candy with a K. Now I'm noticing they're spelling these with C's. I'm sorry, I'm looking for where it was made. Candy Floss Chew. Ice Cream Chew. These are taffies. You know what? I kind of want to eat this, I'll be honest. You know, some of these I'm not dying to eat this, you know what I mean? This is something I could open and maybe keep in the truck and, you know, pop one in my mouth when I'm heading to the store, you know, might take me a couple weeks to eat these one by one, you know. But as far as, like, I can't wait to try it, I'm kind of wanting to, and definitely this one. Okay, this is actually pretty special. Again, we have skateboarding. Wow. Fizzos. On one hand, they look really gross, almost like mothballs been dipped in some sort of dye. But on the other hand, I actually want to try these. I can't help but notice this fucking hole in here. Now I'm wondering, do they all have holes? No, they don't. Just one with a random fucking hole in it. There's something about this. It looks pretty good, man. I like sort of the dusting, just the residual dust on it. The mascot he's pretty good, you know. He's a little generic. I mean, I don't know exactly what that is. I guess it represents one of these. Maybe that's Fizzos or Fizzo. Maybe that's a Fizz. I don't know. I don't understand the branding per se, but I've also never heard of Lagoon as a company. Definitely Australian. Wow. If my guy from New Zealand, I know you will eventually, I think he's asleep is what it is. He can't watch my videos usually during the day because I think this is their, when they sleep. But if you're around where you look at these, and let me know if you can get these. I'm just curious if these are actually Australian only. Wow, look at that. That's very Garbage Pail Kids. Well, not very, but a little bit. It's crazy how they copied Atom Bomb. I mean, think about Warheads. Wally, his name is Wally. I don't have one handy, but you know, Wally, the mascot on Warheads, is very Atom Bomb-like, right? And you might have seen the Atom Bomb knockoff mascots and other candy. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should get all my Atom Bomb lookalikes, and I'll make you guys a video or something before I get out of here. Wow. So, back to my original question. Who are we? Are we friends? This guy, completely unprompted, went with his wife. I assume he was just with his wife. I don't know. went to Australia. He's from America. He went to Australia, unprompted, contacted me while he was in Australia. Then he bought this with his own money. Then he put this in his probably his carry-on bag, right? His book bag on the airplane. You wouldn't want to put this in your suitcase. They would search it or whatever. Still, he had to lug around. This thing probably weighs 3 pounds worth of candy all the way from Australia. He lugged this back. Then he put it in a priority box and shipped it to me completely unprompted. He didn't ask for anything. Now I'm going to send him something. So who are we? Who does this? I think a friend does that. All right, let's move on. Today's topic is pride. I'll show you this while I'm talking. I just opened this on YouTube. Now, I showed you guys these before. These are 1969 Hippie Sippies. They represent heroin syringes. These were banned. Here's the article from a newspaper dated November 5th, 1969. County studies narcotics linked to Hippie Sippy. That's what these are. It talks about how it's clear enough you can read this. Candy beads are in bottles shaped like hypodermic needles. Sold along with buttons such as "Feed Me" and "Sock It To Me, Baby." In fact, the one I got in today was the "Sock It To Me" example. And here's the "Feed Me." I'm actually making a video next week that'll feature one of these that you guys will see. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about. And they were banned. I typically get around 1,000 a piece for these, but the thing is, this has original candy. I've never sold one with the original beads because they're very rare to have the original chocolate beads in them because they melt, and these are obviously still shakeable. In fact, the candy that came in today is a little bit better than mine that has started to deteriorate. So I want to try to maybe get 1,500 for this. Maybe 2,000. Yes, so today's topic is pride. So let me just cut to the chase. I'm going to show you the stats I came up with. And so, I did a video on lust. I did one on gluttony. I did some other videos. You might have saw those. But these are the 7 deadly sins. And the question is Garbage Pail Kids moral? Is Garbage Pail Kids taking us further away from Christ? Is Garbage Pail Kids making us less righteous? Okay. For lust, I have tops down to a 1. I don't think tops is very lustful. How I got this score. Last Wednesday, I made a chart. This was my first run through. Then I waited to Sunday. I was on my trip. And I just plugged this in. These were my thoughts on Sunday. And then last night, well, it was actually early this morning. It was like at 2 o'clock in the morning. I went ahead and did some more stats. And then I averaged them all together, and that's what you're seeing. So it's still just my opinion, but I spaced it out so they wouldn't be influenced or whatever. But yeah, I have tops down at 1. I don't think they're very lustful at all. The hobby, I have them at a 3. And my closest friends are people that I feel like I know who they are as Garbage Pail Kid collectors. And I'm also putting myself in there. and I have a slightly more lustful than the average collector. Gluttony. I think gluttony is one of the worst sins in the Garbage Pail Kid hobby. I think it might be the biggest problem. In fact, looking at my final stats, it says it's the biggest problem in our hobby today. So let me tell you what gluttony is. So, because it seems to be, at least in my opinion, an actual issue. Gluttony is the excessive and ongoing eating of food and drink, but this goes towards excessive and ongoing consumption of anything. So it's about consumption. To me, Tops is a horrible glutton. They are constantly producing little peddly sets. They're constantly blowing up. They're making like what should be a very simple set of Garbage Pail Kids into something bigger than it should be. And have you noticed how they're overproducing them? Like they're making millions more than they should. And now there's even surplus, which is a huge sign of gluttony. I think our hobby is extremely gluttonous. I think there's a lot of people that just collect like shit they don't even need. Like I didn't need this fucking trashy treasure at all. Like I don't even need probably any of this. And then my closest friends, I have them at a 9 as well. I think we definitely are just as gluttonous as everyone else. We're just as guilty as everyone else. All right, greed. I have Tops at a flat 10, 10 out of 10. I think they're extremely greedy company as well. I think compared to other pop culture that makes pop culture items, think about like Mattel, Hasbro, blah, blah, blah. I think Tops ranks in the top worst ones with greed. I think they're extremely greedy. The hobby, I have us at an 8. And the people that I know personally and myself, I have us a little bit higher. I think we're fucking greedy people. Okay, sloth means just, it's sort of like just a general laziness. Like, this is one I struggled with. And my scores kept flipping around. But I like how they ended up. I agree. I think Tops is around the midway point. They're not good or evil. They're in the middle. But where I came up with this, I think they're lazy, dude. Like, they keep producing the same, like, cards over and over. Like, it seems like they just rehash. It's kind of a laziness to me involved with this. Like, they could be doing more with our brand. Hobby, very slothful. There's people that don't research Garbage Pail Kids. They don't know the history. They don't know anything about Garbage Pail Kids. They really have no business collecting Garbage Pail Kids. They're just a dumb consumer. I think our hobby's full of dumb fucking consumers. I will say it, dude. And it's just gotten worse on Facebook. Now we have these random... I'm going to say something I regret. I'm just going to leave it there. My closest friends, I have us at a 4. A lot of myself and my friends were very ambitious. A lot of my friends are leaders in the community. I don't think we're slothful that much at all. And I actually have us lower than even Tops. Wrath. Wrath is, it's like rage. It's like, it's not just anger though. Wrath comes out in different ways. To me, the wrath in Tops, notice it's very low. I don't think they're very evil in this category, but there is a little bit of wrath here, and let me explain why. I think Tops, how they're throwing out sets with, like, they're not spacing out the sets, how they're just throwing them all out. It's almost, to me, it feels very wrathful. Like, I think they're on these Facebook groups reading what we say, and I think they get mad. I can just feel it. I just feel like they kind of respond to us sometimes by just dumping shit in our laps. And I just feels aggressive to me. I just think there's a little bit of touch of aggressiveness in Tops GPK department. The hobby, there's a lot of wrath. And with my closest friends, there's a little bit more wrath. I think there's a lot of competition in our hobby. Sometimes it's kind of underneath the surface. It's not quite out in the open, but there's some infighting if you look around, and I definitely feel it around my closest friends. And I definitely feel I bring the wrath up with my friends. In other words, when I leave, I think this number will go down. Envy. Is Tops envious? There's some there. I feel like Tops wishes Garbage Pail Kids was more successful. Like, I think they wished Garbage Pail Kids could hang with the sports cards a little bit more. So there's a little bit of envy there. The hobby is definitely envious. There's a lot of people jealous. There's a lot of jealous people and envious people in the hobby. I feel like when I got these in the other day, I had very few people congratulate me, because the reason why, they felt sad because I got something good. Remember, that's what envy is. It's not jealousy. Envy is when you feel sad for someone else's success. And I'm one of the worst ones, man. I feel sad. I get jealous and envious. Pride is today's topic. It's said to be the worst sin of all. And if you notice, it looks like the Garbage Pail Kids hobby suffers from pride. And let me remind you one more time what pride is. Pride is an excessive view of oneself without regard for others. Now, one way I've thought about this in the past is ego. I have a really big ego myself. I definitely am bringing up my average with my closest friends. I think when I leave, this number will go down. But I think it also starts with Tops. I think Tops is a very prideful company. They just seem to... I think they have a history of pride, actually. It goes back to the 80s when they were competing with Fleer and even Donruss a little bit. And then later they try to compete with Upper Deck and all this. Or maybe it was vice versa. I won't go into all that. But there is a lot of pride there. And there's something with the branding. What is it? You know, the times when I was working on fan sets, they actually came down on us with a lawyer at one time. There's something with the branding of Tops. It could be just my Generation X rebelness coming out, like, fuck the corporations. But I don't know, man. Tops, there's problems, man. I don't think they're that good of a company. So let's look at that. So if you look across the line, is Tops evil? In some places they are. I think they're very evil in gluttony, greed, and pride. Is the hobby evil? Yes, with gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy. Are me and my closest peers in the hobby, are we evil? Absolutely. Gluttony, greed, wrath, envy, and pride. Yeah, me and my closest friends are some of the most evil ones in the hobby. As far as do we sin the most? Yeah, I think we sin way more than the average Garbage Pail Kid collector in some of these categories. Now, on the flip side, where are we okay? I think with lust across the board, I don't think there's that much lust. I don't think there's a lot of that much perversion, like amongst collectors. Sometimes I feel a little bit of lust when I look at someone's collection. I just desire it, like. But yeah, another area that's maybe not so sinful. You know, wrath is pretty low up here. I don't feel that much anger until the closer you get to the power, to the leadership in the hobby, the more wrath there is. And one of the oddballs I notice is with Pride. I have Tops being evil with Pride. I don't think the hobby's very prideful at all. And then I have us here at 9. So when I look around the hobby, when I look around these Facebook groups, do I see an excessive view of oneself without regard for others? I don't. Just a hint. Sometimes. Okay, again, these are my opinions. I tried to make it a little scientific by doing it different times. I would try to forget what I was thinking and try to just do it plainly. I average all those thoughts together. That's just what I came up with. Now, this number is the grand total. Out of 210 sin points, I have us at 137 sin points. So overall, I think the hobby is definitely evil. We're way over the center line. We're way on this side of evil, near the fucking top, man. Very bad. So when I quit Garbage Pail Kids in a few weeks or whenever, will I be less evil? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all I have to say. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the 7 deadly sins. Okay, what do you have to look forward to? I'll just show you what I'm working on. This isn't my notes. This is just like a little outline. So we have 10 parts left of the Quitting Garbage Pail Kids series. We should finish around Halloween, maybe even on Halloween Day. Next video is going to be, I'm going to tell you about my childhood. And what's going to happen is what I tell you is going to be echoing through the final ones. On part 92, I'm going to tell you about GPK Underground, the forum, versus Facebook. Now, I've talked about this topic here and there, but I'm going to do a deep dive. And I really need you to listen to what I'm telling you here, because this could tell you the outcome of the whole hobby itself. 93. What retirement feels like. What I wish someone would have told me. So I am retired now. I've been retired for well over a year, like coming up on 2 years. And so I want to tell you what retirement feels like, because a lot of you guys will be going into retirement soon, within the next 10 years at least, you know. Okay, on 94, this seems weird, but it won't be weird when I'm talking about it. I'm going to tell you about boxing. But let me go ahead and show you my next one. On the next one, I'm going to tell you about Star Wars Lego. Okay, what these are my 2 other hardcore interests. But I'm going to show you my collection. You will not, the boxing one is must fucking see. You're not going to believe it. No one's ever seen it's art. It's basically going to be art. Yeah, get ready. But I want you to hear what I tell you about these 2 subjects, because you'll start to understand why I'm quitting. On part 96, I'm going to tell you how I got on TV. I've never told the story about me being on TV for Garbage Pail Kids. So I'm going to tell you how I got on TV. I'm going to tell you about the day, the film day, and everything else you want to know. On 97, I'm going to tell you the end game and what that means. A lot of you don't know what end game is. I'll explain it then. On part 98, I'm going to tell you why I believe GPK is dead, but also the future of cheap toys. So it seems kind of weird if you're saying it's dead, how can there be a future? So I'll explain more there. On 99, I'll tell you this topic, Quitting Garbage Pail Kids is Impossible. And the title of my last part is called The Kid. All right. And it's all going to tie in. Hopefully, I'm going to tell you about my childhood. I'm going to go into some of my interests, some really details about my career in the hobby itself. about some of these other issues. I want you to know why. Oh, I'm sorry, up here. Boxing, and you need to know why I'm into that, because you'll start to make sense. Then I'm going to tell you about the TV experience, in-game, how I feel about the garbage pail kid hobby at this point, the situation, and then I'm saving this for the end, okay? Great. Y'all have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys next week. Russ Van